Yes, sis. I feel like this video is gonna be quite a long video, so grab a cookie and a cup of tea or something to snack on. Make yourself cozy because, well, I am just filming this now, so I don't know the duration of this video, whereas you'll be able to look and be like, oh, it's, you know, 36 minutes long or however long. But I don't feel like lesbians talk openly enough about problems that they face and all of that. Like, when it comes to someone's love life, people don't share a lot, and I agree that people shouldn't share a lot. But with lesbians, it's hard because there are problems that lesbians go through again and again and again, and because they're not communicating, they're not helping anyone, like the younger generation of lesbians or the older generation. They're not really helping anyone because they're keeping their problems to themselves, from what I've noticed, and they're kind of letting these problems out on forums and things, and you're just like, okay, people need someone LGBT to kind of turn to when they're having a problem. And that's one of the things I really wanted for my YouTube channel, is to be an LGBT kind of figure for someone, so that they can, you know, feel like they have someone to talk to and they can watch these videos. I really believe in making content that I would love to watch myself, and I think that this one, it's good. Like, sorry if I'm a bit like, ooh, because I'm looking at this light next to me and it affects my vision when I do that because it's so bright, so I'm sorry if I was a bit off then. But yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to explain what this video is about and then I'm going to jump straight into it. But I want to talk about lesbian problems that lesbians go through and my experience with it and all of that, and I'm gonna kind of focus on it being about coming out, figuring out that you are gay or a different sexuality, or just kind of standard problems that I've faced as a lesbian in my time so far. So let's get into it. Now, this first one is actually quite transferable to straight relationships or any kind of relationship when it comes to liking someone, whether it's a boy or a girl or a different gender, because gender is a spectrum. There is not just male and female. There really isn't. There is male, female, and all the genders in between, like gender fluid, for example, or non-binary, all these other gender, you get the idea. So, the first thing I want to talk about is, I had a problem once where there were two girls that liked me in that kind of way. And in hindsight, I didn't have a crush on any of them really. But anyway, so there were two girls that liked me. One that I was actually dating, going on dates with, and one that was trying to show me that she liked me, but at first I didn't quite get it. So I was chasing this girl, being like, oh, I really like her, I want to be with her, and I was chasing her. And this girl wasn't even that nice to me or that enthusiastic. She just wanted me for experience, if you know what I'm saying. Whereas this other girl that liked me, she was really kind to me, really sweet to me. She's like, oh, you know, it would be so nice if we could go on a date, if we could do this, we can hang out and we can, we both had the same hobbies. Like, oh, we could do this hobby together. She would be really sweet to me, really nice to me. And I was just like, yeah, okay. And I was like, oh, but this girl didn't really care that much about me and was using me for experience. Whereas the other girl that I was just ignoring would have have been a lot better for me, like a lot nicer to me and more deserving of me than this other girl. So this is a problem I've noticed in relationships in general, but lesbian relationships as well. But it's because it's hard to tell when a girl likes you, but I'll get on to all of that. But yeah, so basically I then was pursuing this other girl, and then it just didn't go well. And I was like, oh, I'm really sad about it, oh my god, oh. But this other girl that really liked me was just like, well, we could be together, what do you think? What? And I was just like, oh, I don't like you like that. And I didn't handle it very well. But what I'm saying is, if you're in that situation where there's two people that like you, and you really are chasing someone and pursuing them and going and going and going for it, you can't ignore the other person that's just like, hey, wait, but I'm really sweet, I'm being really sweet to you, I'm actually, like, really, I like you, you know. You can't just be like, yeah, this girl. You know, you've got to kind of think, well, who would be best for me? Sometimes though, you find yourself in relationships because of like a soul agreement, so you were put together in your life at that particular time to learn things in the relationship, because relationships are all about learning. They just are, you know. So sometimes it's like that, but when it isn't like that, you know, then you should think about who likes you and how you are being treated by both. I didn't have a crush on either of them. That's why this really nice girl didn't get me in the end, because I didn't feel the same way back. Which is quite sad really, because she's so lovely, but if I'm not attracted to someone, then there's no point. You know, but it's kind of like that. But how to tell if a girl likes you when you are a girl? So let's say I'm a girl and another girl is a lesbian, so we're both lesbians, and a girl likes me, or I like this girl. So for example, if I like this girl, when you give a girl a compliment as a girl, it could just be friendly, that's the hard part. Whereas if it's a boy complimenting a girl, it's a bit more obvious. You're like, oh, this guy likes me. Whereas if a girl says, oh, you know, your smile is so pretty, like you look so gorgeous in this outfit, you're like, oh, thanks. And you think it's a girl just being nice. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. That's the hard part. But you have to read between the lines. Like, you have to kind of, if she's with her group of friends, you have to see if her friends know about you. And if they're like nudging this girl that likes you, or if they're like, oh, I'll leave you two alone type of thing, and you're like, huh? You know, or something like that. Or you have to, as well, gauge it by the questions they ask you. So if you message them saying, oh, I've started talking to this girl, and they jump on it right away and they reply with, oh, what do you mean? Tell me about this girl, oh my god. Or something like that, then that is a sign that they like you, but it's, again, really difficult. It's like, for example, me and one of my straight best friends, she talks to me about boys that she likes and what's going on with her relationship. And if I tell her the same, she'll respond quickly and be like, oh, who's this girl? Type of thing. But I know that she's straight and she doesn't like me in that kind of way. And all of that. But when it's two lesbians, it's more difficult. So you have to really think. And as well, with lesbians and gay people in general, and to be honest, in relationships in general, you have to kind of be a bit more upfront about it. It's like I said before, there was a girl that had a crush on me, and at first I didn't know. I just thought she was being nice to me. And then eventually, she finally, after like a year and a half, she finally says, I really like you. And she was like, explain. And I was like, oh. And I realised, you know, so you have to be quite forward with people in that sense. You have to be like hinting, flirting, and if they don't get it, you have to be like, look, this person, I like you, here's how I feel about you. It's like, when I meet a new lesbian, I become friends with a new lesbian, sometimes because of the newness, it's probably not even a word, but because of the fascination. It's like, oh, it's another lesbian, oh, she's really pretty. I immediately start having a bit of a crush, even though I probably actually don't and I need to figure it out. But anyway, there's a girl I had a crush on and she didn't realise, but I was making it really obvious. And then eventually I was like, look, I like you. And she was like, oh, I never knew. Oh, sorry, I don't feel that way. And I'm like, oh. So some people, they need you to actually spell it out for them. Be like, look, I am G-A-Y and I-L-I-K-E-Y-O-U. You have to actually, like, not spell it out like that, but you have to be like, look, this person, here's how I feel about you. And you have to tell them as hard as it is. And then you'll know then. But you have to make sure that they're single, because if they have a crush on you but they're already in another relationship, they're going to say they don't like you because they don't want to cheat and they're worried about their partner and all of that. So you have to wait till they're single to be like, look, this person, I like you. And then you'll get a proper response. And if they say, oh, I never knew, oh yeah, of course we can go on a date type of thing, then you know that they like you. And if they're like, oh, sorry, I only see you as a friend or something, then you can just deal with it in your own way. You could cry for 6 hours like I did once over a girl, or you can be like, okay, that's fine, and you can compose yourself and you can just, you know where you stand with them. And you'll be like, oh, okay, we can still be friends, and then you be friends with them, and that's fine. You know, as well, I have been reading, because there's a forum called Quora, or Quora, Q-U-O-R-A. Don't know if I'm pronouncing it as Quora or Quora, but I think it's Quora anyway. I see a lot of stuff on there about young people that are like, oh, I told my mum that I'm gay and she told me that I'm too young to know because I'm 13. Am I too young to know? And saying that she got sent to a therapist and all of this, and I was like, oh, that's really, oh my god. So I get what they're saying, but like, oh, I'm only 13. Do I know what I like? I've said before on this channel, when I was younger, I used to wish that I somehow couldn't have children, which sounds awful. That sounds awful to say that I wish I couldn't have children, because there are so many people that actually can't have children that wish they could, and they probably take offence to that. But I don't mean it in that way. It's literally when I was 12, 13. Oh, my voice just went weird then, I'm sorry. It's because I've not long woken up and I ate some cheese. But anyway, so when I was literally 12 or 13, my mom had like a problem where it'd be difficult to have kids, so she was lucky to have me. And because I was learning about that at the time, I was like, oh, I wish that I would have something like that so that I wouldn't get impregnated by men. And I was talking very just bluntly, and I know that what I was basically saying is, I don't want to be with a man and I don't ever want to be pregnant. And I was really young and I knew that. Like, I knew that from a young age. And as well, with my career, like, I've always, like, I was like as young as 10 years old, and someone like says to me, oh Steph, what do you want to do as a career? And I'm like, my dream is to be an author, singer, actress, TV personality type of thing. And even now, that is what I want to do. So, yes, there are people that don't know what they want to do. If you go up to someone at 10 years old, oh, what job do you want to do? Oh, I don't know yet. That's fine. But some people just know. It's like transgender, like people that are transgender. It's like you hear more and more people that are young that are like, no. Like if they were born like assigned female at birth and they're like, no, I'm a boy, and they're 3 years old. And then even at 5 years old they're saying it, and then 7 years old, and they keep saying, no, I am not what I was born as, I am actually this opposite binary gender. And you're like, okay. So then you get put on puberty blockers and it all goes from there. I really do believe that if you think and know in your own self that you are gay or bisexual or transgender, anything like that, even down to something like what job you want to do, then yeah. But it's hard because some people, for example, they say that they are transgender and they go through all of the procedures and everything, and then they go, oh, actually, I'm not. But that's not as common as you think. Like, I have a lot of straight, cisgendered people come to me and say, oh, well, this person detransitioned. What if this person realises it's not right for them? And all of these things. But isn't that the same as anything in life? It's like if someone gets a tattoo and then they go, oh, actually, I don't think I like this tattoo anymore. And then they have to spend all the money to get the laser removal treatment done. You get what I mean. It's very hard to explain without making this video super long and without me rambling. But I knew that I liked girls from a really young age. I'd say from about 10 years old. But the reason why I didn't come out as gay until I was 20 years old is because of people in society going, oh no, try boys again, and like being really unsupportive, and the bullying I had in school and extracurricular activities, it all just made me feel horrible about myself, you know? It's kind of like that. You know, it's a bit like before I got braces, people used to make fun of my teeth all the time. So then I was like, oh, I need to do something to change them. So then I got braces. It's like that almost, but with my teeth I could change it. With my sexuality I can't. You know, so when I was in relationships with boys, I didn't feel anything, but I didn't know what a relationship felt like because I was really young and I just needed more relationship experience. And society just really needs to become more accepting. It really does, because being gay, there's nothing wrong with being gay, you know? If there are a group of people that I'm spending time with and they all say to me that it's not okay to be gay, back then I'd be like, oh, and I would suppress my feelings for girls and I would try and be with boys and pretend that I liked boys when I actually really didn't. But now I've learnt that I am who I am. I can't change it. Don't need to change it because being gay is amazing. It's great. If any girl, like if you asked any girl, like if they wanted to love somebody and never have the fear of becoming pregnant, never having to take birth control pills, or to love someone like a man that could get them pregnant and have to be on birth control pills, they'd rather actually pick to not be on birth control and to not have that worry of being pregnant. So I look at being gay as a positive. I'm like, oh my God, I can, you know, be intimate with a woman and then not worry about, oh, I have to take this pill at this specific time, and oh, all of the hormone problems and the side effects, and worrying in case I wasn't as careful and all these things. I don't have to worry about that. I don't. Obviously, everyone, regardless of sexuality and gender, has to worry about STIs/STDs, you know, sexually transmitted infections, diseases. Yes. But if your partner has said to you, I've been tested and I don't have anything, and you've been tested and you don't have anything, and they tell you their kind of, like when they were tested and all of that, and they tell you who they've been with and all of that, and it's fine. Whereas a man and a woman could be completely free of STIs, but you can still get pregnant if you know. At least gay people get to choose if and when they reproduce. You know, that's so good. That's great. I think that's great. But anyway, back to my point. I could be sat with a group of people that would all say to me that being gay isn't okay. Now, instead of me being like, oh, maybe they're right. Oh, maybe I need to like boys. Maybe I need to pretend. No, actually, I don't. So I would much rather sit on my own than be with that group of people. I really would. I really would. You know? The reason, well, no, one of the many reasons why the world is so messed up is because people aren't educating themselves on current affairs and issues that are affecting people on a daily basis, just because it doesn't affect them. So, for example, straight people will say stuff to me about being gay, and they'll be like, oh, well, this and all that, and I'm just like, no, educate yourself. But anyway, another thing I'd like to address is, well, I get this question a lot. It's like, what is it like when two girls that are in a relationship are both on their period at once? Excuse the barking in the background, it's my dogs. It could be really difficult because most of the time when it is time of the month, and to be honest, even people saying when two girls are on their period, it's not just girls that get periods. You know, think of someone that's assigned female at birth that identifies as male. They can get periods too. So even I've just stopped myself when I said about that, because people ask me, what is it like two women being in a relationship on their period? How about we change it and we say, what does it feel like having two people in a relationship on their period at the same time? I feel much more comfortable answering that question. It's very difficult because when someone is on their period, their emotions are heightened and they become more sensitive to things. Not always, but most of the time, and from my own experience, I have a pretty difficult time emotionally when it's time of the month. So two people in a relationship with their period at the same time, they can get quite moody with each other. Like, they can say stuff out of anger. Most of the time they don't mean it, but sometimes it's when the truth comes out. So you have to just be understanding. But it's quite good because, in a way, because, for example, if I was dating someone and they weren't understanding towards me when I was on my period, I'd be like, oh, wait till you get yours. You know, and they'll be like, wait till I get mine, oh my god. And then when they get theirs and they're being the same way, then you could be like, oh, well, do you remember when I was like that? And you didn't give me sympathy, and you didn't understand. And they'll be like, okay, I understand now. You know, whereas if it's someone that's assigned male at birth, and they're dating someone that's assigned female at birth, the guy will be like, oh, I don't know what you're going on about, oh, your period, oh, you know, and the girl could be like, oh, they can't be like, oh, wait till you get yours. You know, that's quite a good thing. I don't mean to sound mean, but when someone goes through something themselves, they seem to understand more. So there's that. But yeah, so going back to my question. Yeah, so going back to that whole topic about what is it like when two people are on their periods in a relationship. It's very difficult emotionally, as I've said, and it can make them more irritable, and they sometimes act as if they don't want to spend time with their significant other when actually they do, but they're just having too much pain, or maybe it's really hot outside as well and they're irritable, or they're just irritable in general and they don't even want to hold your hand. You know, don't take it personally. Just take it as, oh, it's their time of the month, they're having a rough time with it. You know, and kind of be more gentle with them and be a bit more careful about what you say around them when it's time of the month as well. And just do your best to comfort them, you know. Give them chocolate and cuddles if they want it, and painkillers. Like, definitely give them like paracetamol or whichever painkiller that they are able to take. You know, and just be there for them. Be there for... It's hard because if you're both having pain at the same time, you just have to get through it. You just have to both take painkillers. Both just be understanding with each other. But as well, another thing is, like, someone's asked me that question before as well, and I'm like, oh, it rarely happens where both of you are on your period at the same time, because most LGBT relationships that I know of are pretty long distance, so most of the time you don't really see each other when you're on your periods anyway, so that's another thing. And sometimes you can sync up, so you both get your period at the same time, or sometimes it doesn't. It really varies. Like, a popular, well-known lesbian couple on YouTube called Rose and Rosie, they once said something about, I'm trying to think what they said, but they said something about only a handful of times has it ever happened to them where they're both on their period at the same time. But every couple, it varies, you know. Some people can sync up, some people don't. Some people do and then they don't. It's just, it's because periods are natural, you know, and that's how it is. So, another question that I've seen online, like another kind of problem people are having, is that they are struggling to come out to their parents. This is a big one. I firstly want to talk about how it went for me. At first, when I was about 14, I came out to my parents, but my mum kind of caught me in a way. Like, we were in the back of a car with my first ever girlfriend, and she said afterwards, like, my mum said to me, "What were you doing in the back of the car?" And I said to her I was helping her with her seatbelt, when actually I wasn't. You know what young people are like. They do stuff, and when they both live with parents, it's hard to, you know, do anything with their significant other. That's all I'm saying. And I said to her, I said that to her, and she says to me, "This person isn't allowed to come over to our house anymore." And that crushed me. It really crushed me. And that, my first ever girlfriend says to me, "Oh, I would actually marry you if my parents weren't so homophobic." And at the time, I was so in love with this girl, and it crushed me so badly. Whether she meant it or not, because we were really young at the time, we were just teenagers, whether she meant it or not, still the fact that there was that barrier there was just difficult. You know, so, but the thing is, things really do get better. Like, years later now, me at 24 years old, my mum says to me, "You can be in a relationship with whoever, whether it's a boy or a girl or even a giraffe. We won't care, you know. And when I was with my ex, we went out for breakfast together when she stayed over at my house, and my parents were like, we are taking this seriously. We are spending time with her to get to know her, and we are treating this as a real relationship, as we would with a boy and a girl, or, you know. And I said, okay. And it gets better. All I'm saying is it gets better. Like, okay, not in every case, but for me it did, and for a few other people I know it did. And as well, when I recently went to France, I think I've said before on this channel, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to say it anyway. I was stuck between choosing a pride rubber duck in a rubber duck store or a black duck with stars on it, like silver stars. I liked both of them. And my dad says to me, oh, you've got to get the pride duck. And it meant so much to me. And even the other day, we were at a restaurant and we were talking. And my dad says to me, you do realise, Steph, that I will be fine with whoever you date, whether it's a boy or a girl or anyone. And as well, something he never told me, he says I can be in a relationship with someone from any race. Anyone, like not just British or Greek or both. They can be Irish or American or Indian or African or Russian or Spanish or French or German, whoever. I was like, I never knew that, but to be honest, I would have been in a relationship with anyone that I liked anyway, regardless of where they're from. But the fact that my dad said that meant so much to me, meant everything to me. But as well, it shows that things improve, things really do change. People's minds open up a little bit. It's harder for the older generation, like my grandparents, you know, they don't fully understand it. But, you know, that's because they've lived for a very long time, and when you're used to the world being a particular way, because LGBT people were in hiding back then, and then when people are more open with it now, it's different, and people find it hard to get their head around it. Okay, you know, sometimes when things change in the world, I find myself having to adjust and get my head around things as well, you know, but that's just how it is. And of course, being gay in different parts of the world will make it more difficult or will make it easier. So I'm totally aware and mindful of that, you know, but just if you feel like you are going to get kicked out because of your sexuality or because of anything like that, then I would keep it to yourself. Like, if you feel like you're gonna have your safety and well-being at risk, then you have to make that decision as to whether you tell them or not, you know? Like, I knew for a fact that my parents wouldn't kick me out for being gay. You know, I knew that there wouldn't be any consequences. I just knew that there would be a lack of understanding and that they'd be like, oh, try again, you know? But if you know that you're stuck in a situation where you can't come out because you know that something really bad will come of it, then you have to unfortunately not come out. But you could come out to people that you really trust, or you could turn to these forums as well and talk about your experiences and delete your search history, browsing history after, stuff like that. Find a way to reach out to people that feel the same way as you and get support from them. And when you finally do move out and you feel more comfortable, you know, coming out and able, then you can do. You know, I've heard of people that have lost family over it, and it's hard. So another thing I'd like to address, I'm so sorry that this video is long, I did say, but I feel like this is so important, I really do. And I encourage other LGBT YouTubers, advocates, musicians, anyone to talk like this. But anyway, another kind of misconception of lesbians is they think that all lesbians hate men. We don't. I know lesbians that have a lot of guy friends. I know lesbians that live with a man as a roommate. I know of all of that, you know? And there was a girl that had a crush on me once and she didn't know I was gay. And she was like, oh, but you hang out with boys all the time. And I'm like, well, it kind of just happened. I just was spending time with boys a lot of the time. But that's because I didn't want to talk about, you know, dresses and heels, maybe, stereotypically. I wanted to talk about computer stuff and nerdy stuff, I don't know. You know, so it's kind of like that. But, and as well, I've had people say to me about me hating men. It's not that. It's the fact that I've had a lot of negative experiences with men that I might talk about in another video. Like this video if you want me to talk about it in another video. But yeah, men have given me a pretty hard time. They still sometimes do. So that's why. And as well, I've had a lot of women in my life not be treated very nicely by men. And as well, there's the male ego, which makes men behave just ridiculously. And all of that. So I don't hate men. I've just had a really bad experience with men. You know? Like, not a bad experience from every man in my life. Like, there are amazing men in my life. There's my dad, who's amazing, who's never done anything to hurt me. There's my granddad, that's amazing, has never done anything to hurt me. So it's not that, it's the fact that when I was a teen, I was friends with boys and they would overstep the mark. And men look at girls as just, they act as if girls are like their own property, and they're like, oh well, you know, and yeah. Anyway, so I don't hate men. Lesbians don't hate men. They just aren't interested in them. And maybe, not always, but maybe they've had a bad experience. There's another one where it's like, they talk about lesbian relationships, like, oh, who's the man in the relationship? Well, there isn't a man, it's two girls, but most of the time one of them will take more of a dominant lead, if that's what you're saying. Like, there are people that are tops and bottoms. Some people like to switch. It really depends, you know, but there is no man in the relationship. People need to just get over that. And as well, people say to me, which shows me how ingrained it is in society, people say to me, oh, when two girls are on a date, like they're out for a meal, who pays? I think I've addressed this question before, but I'm going to address it again just in case anyone missed it. They're like, oh, who pays? And I'm like, oh, why? Because when a boy and a girl go on a date, it's gentlemanly and expected in society for a man to pay. Oh, like for the girl. The answer is, if two girls go to a restaurant, the person that pays is the person that either is the one that is in a better financial situation, or you'd stagger it. You'd be like, okay, you pay this time, I'll pay next time, and then the time after that, you pay, and then the time after that, I'll pay. Or, if you know that you don't want to go on another date with that person, you can split it 50-50, or if they don't have the money and they're worried about it. Like, I've been on a date with someone once, first ever date, I said to her, oh, how do you feel about us meeting up and going to this restaurant? And she was like, actually, the reason why I've been putting off going on a date with you is because I can't afford the meal. And I'm like, oh, no worries, I can pay for it. You know, just be open with the person and just talk to them about it beforehand, and just, like, if you don't have the money. You know, like, people need to stop looking down on each other for not having money. And as well, people need to stop thinking that a guy is going to pay and that a girl should be, like, shouldn't pay. Like, people have money. Like, oh dear. Society. Basically, in any situation, you either go halves, or you pay and then the next day the other person pays, or if someone's in a difficult situation financially, then the person that is in the better situation financially is the one that pays. So there's that. Right, I'm going to make this the last thing I address now because this video is long, and I know it is, and I'm aware of it. So, yeah. Someone said, I am gender fluid. Is it okay to still identify as a lesbian? Yes. Yes, it is. I used to identify as gender fluid, and then after a while I figured out that I am actually a girl, and I had to make sense of it, and it was pretty difficult, and I know a friend that also went through the same thing as well. But anyway, so yes, you can. If some of the times you don't feel like you want to be called girlfriend, or if maybe sometimes there are parts on your body, you know, that you don't want to be touched because you feel dysphoric about them that day, then make sure you talk to your partner and you say, look, today I don't want you to refer me as a girlfriend, and I need you to ask me permission if you can touch certain places. You kind of do that, like talk to your partner, but it's a tricky one, and hopefully they will understand. And that's the shortest way I can really put it, is you have to talk about what's best for you. Like, don't brush it under the carpet. Don't think to yourself, oh well, my girlfriend wants a girl because we're lesbians. If you identify as gender fluid and you are hanging out with your girlfriend and you feel like you're a boy that day, they don't want to call you boyfriend because that's not what they want, but they could use a more gender neutral term like partner for the day. And you could talk about it, because it's all based on how you feel as an individual. You know, like one gender fluid person could feel different to another one depending on how they feel that day. But anyway, I'm going to end the video here because this video is so long. I really hope that this video helps someone. Even if it just helps one person, I'll be happy. And if anyone has any problems to do with LGBT relationships or anything that they want to ask me, then ask me in the comments, or if you want it to be anonymous, then yes, you can message me on Instagram. I don't reply to all of my Instagram messages because sometimes I get a lot of them, and sometimes I get weird ones, like people trying to add me to inappropriate group chats, and I have to delete them right away. So there's that. I keep looking outside because it's raining really badly, and I'm feeling very glad that I made sure that I exercised like the past few days outside, so that I didn't leave it to today and then be like, oh, it's raining really badly. But anyway, see you in another video. Please subscribe. There's a lot of people that watch me that haven't subscribed yet. Please subscribe. Like, it'll help you to know when my next video is. Turn on the notification bell if you as well want to get notified as soon as I upload a video. And I'll see you in another video if you watch another one. Yes, Sass.